Molly Meldrum is a renowned and widely respected music critic, journalist, record and TV producer, musical entrepreneur and author. And for 4 decades, Ian has nurtured local talent and played a key role in placing Australian contemporary recording artists on the world map. Molly is best known as the creator of the Australian institution that was Countdown. For 13 years, this program showcased local and overseas recording artists. And first of all, Ian, great to see you.
Thank you very much.
How is the health of Australian music these days?
Very healthy. I mean, like, obviously, the landscape and the picture has changed so dramatically when we talk about the days of Countdown. You know, obviously with the internet and the web and you know, Google and YouTube and whatever, you know. And downloading is obviously one of the major things in the world today.
Legally, of course.
Yeah, but through all of that, I think that the Australian music industry is in a very healthy position. I mean, over the last 2 years, the ARIA Awards, which is, I guess, our equivalent to the Grammys in America, when you look at those who are nominated and then the winners, it is such a broad scope of music, you know, from country to you know, to just everything, you know, independent, and I'm very proud of that, you know.
What about the live music scene? Because in the 70s and 60s, 70s, especially in the early 80s, it was so prolific. It doesn't seem to use much around.
Well, I mean, back then we had, you know, so it was termed as pub rock, and you had all these different hotels known as pubs, fondly in Australia, where they would have rooms where artists would perform. And there was an abundance back then. I mean, like, you know, back in the days of Countdown with Cold Chisel, In Excess, you know, Midnight Oil, that was the norm to play in these places, you know. There are some, you know, would say that has diminished and it doesn't exist as it did back then. However, what they don't take into account is that music has changed so much as well. And if you take like the presets or Sneaky Sound System, they're doing gigs and selling out everywhere, but they're actually doing concerts, you know, because it's a dance-orientated thing. And dance was a dirty word to rock and roll way back. I don't think it is now. And we have a big, one of the best, which is internationally known, is the Big Day Out. And about 5 or 6, 7 years ago, they had a small marquee, which they called the Boiler Room, for the dance-orientated acts. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's as big as the main stage. So that is all existing now, you know. And through that, I mean, you've got another genre of record producers and writers that mainly are DJs, you know, they're working at clubs and creating that. So, okay, the pub rock thing may not, the venues may not be as many as there were back, you know, 10 years and certainly 15 years ago. However, there's another side of this, you know. And like recently, during our summer, we had 5 weeks in a row in Melbourne alone, where you were getting 35 to 40,000 people attending these big dance things out of Flemington, the Maya Music Bowl. So I think it balances it up.
But from the days then to now, I mean, it's changed enormously.
So much, you know.
What's the great? I suppose downloading is and computers, the proliferation of the computer would be the most noticeable single element of change.
Also, you know, going back, you know, when computers started becoming the big thing, and also, as you say, downloading and all of that. But you've got to remember, you know, about 10, 15 years ago, or 12, 13 years ago, where Pro Tools came in, you started finding that, you know, young bands and even a solo artist could have a setup in their you know, in their bedroom and create what we call demos back then. And suddenly come up with a very good product, you know. In fact, that was strange because young bands, you know, back, you know, certainly in the 70s and the 80s, to get a demo to a recording company for an A&R person to listen to, they'd have to, you know, fork out a fair bit of money to go to a recording studio to get that demo done. Now, I mean, they can just do it, you know, without blinking in their lounge room, and the quality is very good.
It's amazing, and it really puts the actual feel or the direction of that particular song or that album in the hands of the artist instead of relying just on the producer.
Very much so. I mean, I think Snow Patrol in England was a great example of that, where they literally didn't even think about the recording companies and did it on their own and did it through, you know, the web and the net, and then got the recording contract after that because the reaction was so huge, you know. I mean, when one looks at the international scene and Simon Cowell, of what Simon has done, which is uniquely clever, I think, you know, of having, you know, like, you know, be it, you know, Australian Idol, well, UK Idol, here it's Australian Idol, American Idol. Now, I mean, a lot of my friends that are in the industry that are hard-nosed criticise that, you know. I don't criticise it because I think it gives young artists a chance to get their name known, be it Australian Idol in this country, right? But then you've got, you know, UK, you've got Talent and all these other different shows, and it's quite amazing what's coming out of that, you know. And, you know, with Simon going right back from the Spice Girls and before that, of what has come out and is, you know, genuine product is quite amazing. So there's that. Then you've got, you know, at home with the web and doing your own thing, putting up your own sites, and you're able to listen to the product, see the act that's involved. It's quite extraordinary, you know.
But how does the music industry, say using the record companies as an example, the 60s and 70s and 80s are really strong, from vinyl to CDs, Absolutely. And they control...
Or tape to CDs,
yeah, exactly. But now they haven't got that control. So
no, they don't, and a lot of the major record companies are spreading their wings, and really, you know, to the point that they want to manage them. They want to have control of, you know, the publishing, the merchandising, everything else, even, you know, the touring, you know. Now, whether that works or not, I don't know. I mean, you know, they've tried it and some of it's been successful. But you're still going to have your promoters, and you're still going to have your publishers, your music publishing, that, you know, a group wants to be independent of this to that, you know. And that could be, you know, a thorn in their side, because, you know, downloading is downloading. But then you have acts that come along that, and I mean, if you take like a good example is AC/DC, where you've got real sales going over the counter because the packaging now is very, very important, you know.
But their audience, though, is a lot more mature.
Absolutely.
Too, so they don't mind buying.
But even if you take, say, Coldplay or Kings of Leon, Kings of Leon, because of their packaging of you know, what you buy over the counter is so good that it's, you know, that relates to real sales, you know, which is fantastic, you know.
We'll come back to you in a second.
Okay.
We're with Molly Meldrum, and we'll talk about some of the great influences that had an effect on your career.